Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Scott Perry. I'm so glad that you're here today, Congressman, to talk about all this. You know, House Speaker Mike Johnson, let's start there, announcing the House will now head to court to enforce audio to be released from President Biden's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur, coming just hours after the Justice Department turned down Congress's attempt to hold Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt for reportedly refusing to hand over those recordings. So we're going to talk about the border, but I also want to ask you about this issue first.
Sure. Yeah. The House voted to hold the Attorney General in contempt. It's unfortunate, but the House has to do its job. And to do its job, we need the evidence. And it's not just the evidence that the alleged wants to give us, but it's the House is just like any prosecutor is due to receive and should receive the best evidence available. And so while I know they've given us what their version of the evidence is, we are asking for the actual evidence, which is the audio tape, not the interpretation. And of course, Merrick Garland shielding President Biden from embarrassment or potentially actual criminal admissions on those tapes is refusing to give it to us. We have no other option but to hold him in contempt. Of course, heretofore, he would be the enforcer of that contempt charge, and we don't expect him to enforce it. But we do have the sergeant at arms, and I would say that since he has been held in contempt, that the sergeant at arms should go arrest Merrick Garland now, and we should have the tape so the American people can hear what the president said.
Okay, I'm just hearing from the control room that we've got Kamala Harris, the vice president, speaking at the Ukraine Peace Summit in Switzerland. Stay right there. We're going to listen in, and I'll get your take on the other side.
To defend it, strengthen it, and promote it. And no doubt it must be a priority for us all. Thank you.
Okay, so we just heard that $1.5 billion in aid is going to Ukraine, coming in off of that summit there. What is your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, I'm happy that she had prepared remarks. You never know what you're going to get with the vice president kind of out there on her own. But I would say that, again, this administration can't bind and encumber future administrations, and they have yet to give us their plan for success in Ukraine. What they give us is continual requests for more and more money, more military aid, et cetera. No one agrees with what Vladimir Putin has done, but let's remember there can be peace in Ukraine immediately if Vladimir Putin would leave. And the answer isn't necessarily just throw more American money at it, especially when Europe and NATO countries aren't currently meeting their commitments.
You know, we want to stay with that subject right now. And as you follow along and as we're watching what's going on with Ukraine, tell us a little bit more about where you think this path can go, because it's so important right now with all eyes on this summit and what's going on.
Well, I'm not sure where the path can go, where we limit, first we give weapons to Ukraine, but then we limit their use. We limit their availability first and their use second. But at the same time, Russia is not going anywhere. So, you know, the fighting might be an answer, but Russia continues to gobble up territory. Ukraine continues to suffer. And there seems to be no effort on the diplomatic front to solve this diplomatically. And a military solution is just going to bind America for years, if not decades. This is Joe Biden's Vietnam. He owns it completely, and he doesn't want to get out. The American people want to help Ukraine, but we don't see an end, and the president hasn't provided any plan for an end. Their plan is just to continue to pump more weapons into Ukraine.
Congressman, we've got some breaking news into our newsroom, so we're going to bounce around again. We've just learned that 8 Israeli soldiers killed in southern Gaza. We're just getting that right now. So, you know, this continues to fuel the need for a ceasefire, does it not?
Well, no. A ceasefire is when Hamas lays down their arms and surrenders. Unfortunately, Israel was attacked. Israel's responding. They're responding with force, and they're responding to force with force. And unfortunately, Hamas is not going to give up either. And so there's going to be unfortunate tragedies like this. A ceasefire where Hamas can rearm, refit, reposition is not the answer. The annihilation of Hamas is the answer.
All right. Well, we've got to leave it there with so much going on. Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Scott Perry, we want to thank you for joining us on a Saturday. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much.